welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Shmee podcast. I am your host, Sam Pellicero, at Not Sam Pellicero on Instagram, as well as at Shmee Podcast. I am here with one of my favorite human beings, someone who almost took my life many times, and yet is a shining star in my life. The one, the only...
Tara Donnelly.
Hey! TD's in the house, y'all! Tara. How do we know each other?
I don't know to what you're referring. We were roommates for 2 years. That is the extent of our friendship, is it not?
It's the shining moment of our friendship.
Oh, so you're talking about like the early moments of our interactions?
Like how did we meet?
Well, we were on the bus together.
But I don't remember.
But I remember because we had to go left out of the school.
Yeah,
and I had to go right to my home. So I was always really annoying because we had to, whatever. So.
Damn you, Sam, and your stupid house on the golf course.
And there was another boy who was a year younger than I was, I think. Justin Dudas.
Oh, yeah. It
was like him and you and your brother.
Yeah.
And like 2 other people, but whatever. Okay. So the way that Sam and I's story began was we were in graphic design together, and I don't even think I was taking it for credit. I think I was just taking it for fun because I was bored. I think I had like a study hall and I wanted to go there instead. So we were in graphic design, and Sam was 2 years younger than I was and still is. That persists to today.
Yeah. No, that's changed since.
So, were you a freshman? Was that?
Yeah. That was my first week of freshman year.
So I was a junior then?
Yeah.
Okay. And we were taking graphic design with a teacher, and I mean, I guess it was like the second week of school or something because we had gone through like the safety and how to be careful because we were going to be working with dangerous, like sharp things.
Exacto knives.
Yeah. Yes. And we were silk screening, so we had to cut out like on this like orange like sheet of whatever we wanted to silk screen. Then we taped it to the thing and put paint through it as a whole thing. I made a lot of things. And I was holding the X-Acto knife, and I don't remember exactly what happened. I don't think you do either.
No, I know exactly what happened.
Okay, what happened?
I already, off the bat, showed you how I'm a prankster. And I showed you how I am going to unintentionally make this semester so miserable for you because I'm going to scare you. I'm going to put stuff in your lunchbox. Like, I'm going to fuck with you. I don't remember. Tara, whatever. Point is, I'm a prankster, and you did not like it already off the bat because you also knew my brother very well.
I did.
And
well, yeah, I think I was friendly. I think I was more friends with your brother because he was in like one of my classes too.
Okay.
Like, physics.
Yeah. But so then you and I sat next to each other at the table.
Yeah, it was like a big table. It wasn't like there was like 2 people on either side of us. It was like a group of 4. Yeah.
Totally. And I made you flinch. And you're holding the X-Acto knife in your hand.
Upright. Why? I don't know.
That part I don't.
Why did I hold it up like this? Was I gesturing?
What was your agenda, Tara?
I mean.
But yeah, so long story short, she flinched, sliced my nose open.
Okay, but like it wasn't honestly that bad. Like it sounds way worse.
There was blood gushing.
There was.
I almost passed out. I saw my whole 14-year-old life flash before my eyes.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
That's more. So I was like, oh my God, Sam. If you tell the teacher I'm getting kicked out, I'm not going to get credit. Oh, I guess I was getting credit for that class. I'm not going to credit for the class.
It's all coming back to me now.
In pieces.
Wait, because you didn't say that how when we learned the safety.
Oh, yes.
He said if you cut yourself or someone else with the X-Acto knife, you will immediately be removed from the class and suspended, I think.
Yeah, because it was going to be like intent to harm somebody, right?
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, Sam, you just have to say you did it. He might believe it. You're a little spazzy. Like, it's possible. Like,
because it wasn't a place on your body where I could just hide it or be like, oh, I cut my finger in the bathroom. It was on my nose.
It was like diagonal.
Yes. Cut me up, girl.
So he went up to the teacher and was like, hey, I cut my nose. And the teacher was like, how? And he's like, I don't know. I did something weird or whatever. And he goes, whatever.
Yeah, and then he disregarded it. But I am now a living legend.
He is.
In my high school.
Yes.
Because Tara's mom was a teacher there, or still is.
Yeah.
And she told me that every year at the beginning of graphic arts 101, whatever that class was, he says,
I once had a student who cut his own nose the first day we were using X-Acto knives. Don't be that student.
Yeah.
So he's a cautionary tale. I don't know if you're a living legend. I think you're a cautionary tale. It's a little different.
I like to say living legend.
Sure.
I'm like the sheriff of Monmouth Regional High School.
Yikes. Sure.
Yikes. Anyway, that's what we call a yikes.
It's a yikes.
Point is, that was how Tara and I met.
Way long ago.
That was 2005. But the evolution of our friendship was, there was a moment in time where Tara and I lost contact. We don't need to get into that.
Nah. Well, you moved away.
I moved away. I mean, you went to school. I was still in high school after you left.
Yeah.
So
and
then,
Facebook, at that point, you couldn't get a Facebook until you had a college account, a college ID.
Yes.
So you were still 2 years away from getting a college ID.
Absolutely, yes.
And I had resisted because I was like, I'm not joining Facebook. I'm not joining part of the system or whatever. And then I made it because that's how I stayed in touch with my friends or whatever. But MySpace had kind of phased out. Facebook was the thing, and we didn't have each other's numbers. It wasn't
And then I was working at this chain convenience store, and 2 years into me working there, Tara walked in one day.
Yes, which is weird because it was literally minutes away from my house.
And
how did we never see each other? And you were always there. I
worked full time, while going to school. Yeah. And I think it was just fate and the timing and everything, because then shortly after that, Tara and I obviously very quickly reconnected. It was as if no time passed.
We had a Thursday night.
We always went out. We went out to this place called Brannigan's that no longer exists.
Like a little dive bar.
It was it was like the best dive bar.
So good.
Because then we would go to the diner or Junior's afterwards, and then go home. And then eventually Tara moved in with me. And I used to live in this house in Howell, New Jersey. And how I ended up living there was the woman who owned the house. We'll call her.
Do you want a name?
Yeah. What should we call her? Because I don't want to use her real name, obviously, for legal reasons.
Jane?
Jane. Yeah, that's a good one. Ooh, I can. She's a Jane. She's a Jane.
I think so.
Yeah, and she wasn't a bad landlord at all.
No,
we just don't want to say her name just in case she doesn't want to be on this.
Right.
So Jane.
Consent's important.
Yes, exactly. So Jane needed someone to move in because her boyfriend broke up with her in the process of them remodeling this house.
Yeah.
And she trusted me right away, because she knew that I was just a young kid who needed a room to rent while I went to college. And that was that. And she lived there for the first year that I lived in this house. And then eventually Jane got enough money to move out to her own place while renting out the 3 bedrooms that are in this beautiful house.
3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
3 bathrooms,
this was, unprecedented.
And the beautiful kitchen and the island. And I mean,
the backyard was nice.
The backyard was nice too. So it was a good deal. And then eventually I had 2 other guy roommates. I was close with one, wasn't really close with the other one. But it was just a very great household. We all got along. Then eventually, my one roommate was moving out, and I needed a roommate. And of course, immediately at this point, Tara had come over so much that I said, Tara, do you want to be my roommate?
Yeah, and I was going to grad school, and I was like, I need my own place.
Yes.
When I'm in grad school, mentally, I need my own physical space or whatever. And I was like, absolutely.
And fucking thunder, boom. Into that life, into that house. And that is what the point of this podcast is today, is Sam and Tara's grim adventures in that house in Howell, New Jersey. She's laughing because, guys, so much weird stuff happened. There was ghost stuff. There was pickaxe stuff.
That was a lot of it was of Sam's invention. Some of the stuff was bizarre.
Yes.
But a lot of it was you creating these situations in a very cinematic adventure.
Me never. I would never do something like that ever.
Okay, sure.
This is going to become like the roast of Sam Pellicero by the end of this podcast. That's what I fear every episode of this podcast, is that it's just going to become a roast of me. And then that's what the audience is going to want every episode. And then I'm just going to slowly lose my self-esteem over something that's supposed to be like a positive, funny podcast to listen to. And just my friends are ripping on me being dramatic. I don't
Should we go chronologically?
No, because that's going to make us get so lost.
So
you go.
At that point I was dating somebody, and I had moved in, but we had already been dating. So I was spending a lot of time at his house.
I'm sorry for the story in advance. I know exactly what you're gonna fucking tell them. I'm embarrassed.
I actually think that over the years, the which part happened at which part has kind of changed. But I think this is fairly accurate. So I was hanging out with this person, and I was at his house, and we were hanging out, making dinner or something, and Sam called Tara.
Well, no, go back. That was your first day that you moved in.
It was.
It was your first year you moved in, and I was bummed out because finally Tara moved in, and then she was staying at her boyfriend's house, and I thought, all right, well, I guess I'm alone tonight, because also our other roommate was away too.
Yes.
So I was alone all night.
That was when we had like a chill roommate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy also did poker nights, and then Sam and I were just kind of like, what's happening? He would like have like a whole like.
And he would never tell us when he was doing that.
But that's why I think I left, because I think he was having a poker. I think he was having a poker night that night.
But no, he wasn't, because I was home alone. Oh, maybe he was gonna have it, and then
Yeah. Because I think that's why I left, because I was like, oh, I don't want to be around for this weird poker night. Because he wasn't a bad roommate. Like
no, not it. He was like the ideal one. He left us alone. He stayed in his room.
Let me like set the stage here. His room was very small.
It wasn't meant to be a room.
It was like
the only reason why she could legally rent it as a room was because it was connected to your bathroom.
Yes, but it was locked from my side.
But it was locked from your side, and that was the deal.
Yeah,
like, he would use the downstairs bathroom.
Yeah,
but that's how she was legally allowed to rent it as a bedroom.
So it was a very small room. So he was like, Sam and I were hanging out in the kitchen often. You know,
he would never join.
He would never hang out with us.
And we would offer, like, do you want to cook dinner with us?
He would walk upstairs, and like be in his room, which also was a pretty common theme about our roommates that stayed in that little tiny room, that they like never want to interact with us, which I mean, we're really fun, so like I'm not quite sure.
No, I don't get it. I don't get it, because we would always be laughing. Nothing ever but laughter, except for some moments happened in that house. Not between Tara and I never got into a fight. It was never between Tara and I.
We've never gotten into a fight.
So let's get to the story.
Yeah, okay. So Sam calls me
because she's away.
So Tara, I was like, what? He's like, I heard something in the backyard. Mind you, our backyard was large.
No, front yard. It was the front yard.
But the house was on a fairly main road.
It was an old farmhouse, so it was on a busy road, but also a lot of property.
And like wooded.
Yes.
We always had deer
all the time.
I always had to chase baby deer out of the backyard. It was sad.
Yeah.
So Sam called me. He's like, Tara, I heard a noise, and I was like, all right, Sam, it's like probably nothing, because like if you can tell about our dynamic, Sam energy levels here, and mine can be here. But, like, generally speaking, it's a little bit more chill than Sam's is. Even though he's a prankster. So, I heard a noise. And I was like, okay, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to, like, did I suggest call the cops?
I don't know. Whatever.
So, somehow the authorities were called. And Sam...
No, they weren't called. They just showed up. That's the best part of the story.
Oh, okay. So that's why I thought here's why I thought it was July. Because they spoke with you about it. So anyway, Sam was running around the house. We didn't have a lot of safety control devices. We had a door that locked. The front door we never used.
Yeah.
The back door was locked, but like there was a lot of windows. A really big front window.
That we never got curtains for.
We never had curtains.
Because it was so massive and our landlord wasn't going to pay for it, and neither were we.
Yeah. So we just never had windows. Or never had windows. We had windows.
We were in a box.
Hello.
Yeah.
So we never had curtains for it. So Sam, we somehow had a pickaxe in the basement.
I found this like 1900s coal mine, 7 doors, motherfucking pickaxe, and guys, legit steel with a wooden handle pickaxe.
Yeah, but it was like rusted. I don't even know how sharp it was.
Also, where did it come from?
I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit in the house that we didn't know where it came from.
So I grabbed the pickaxe.
Yes. And was running through the house, and I think you had turned the lights off, so you could better see what was happening in the front.
Yes, because there was actually there was someone out there.
Yeah, that was legit. But not in this moment. So Sam's running out with the pickaxe, like,
hey man, I get you.
And then a light shines through the window,
and it's the police.
And Sam goes, ah!
And I drop the pickaxe because the cops are shining a gun and a light at me through the window as I'm holding a pickaxe. And then I answer the door, and out loud, like, they're like, "Come to the door." I'm like, "Huh?" I open the door.
The front door, right?
The front door, which we never used. So as I open it, I was like, because it's like stuck. And so then I open the door, and they say, first, "Do you live here?" And I said, "Yes." and then they said, "Suck," and they said, "Was that a pickaxe?" No! And I said, "Yes." And then they said, "Why do you have a pickaxe?" And I said, "It's my house." And then they asked, "Do you know what is going on tonight?" And I said, "No, but I think I heard someone outside the house." And so I said, "Okay, because we're looking for someone. Do you think they're on your property?" And I said, "I guess." And then they said, "Is there anyone else home?" And I said, "No, my roommate's at her boyfriend's house. My other roommate's gone." And they said, "Okay, just lock the doors and don't come outside." And I said, "Okay." And then
no problem.
And then they said, "And get rid of that pickaxe." And I said,
which we never did.
I said, "Thanks, Dad." And I it also always came out during parties somehow.
Always, because you were like, "This is the pickaxe."
Like drunk ass me with all these drunk ass people.
Bad.
Bringing out a pickaxe. Like,
bad.
It was like as if I was trying to live like a slasher film.
Oh my God, why would you say that? I was at those parties.
So that was one of the most iconic stories that happened.
I think that was one of my favorites because I obviously was not privy to this information while it was occurring. He called me after, and if you don't know this yet about Sam, you will soon find out he is a stellar storyteller. The way he weaves stories together with elements of this and that, and just kind of
suspense, mystery, sexual tension.
Whoa, why would Pickaxe like slow your roll? Oh, is it the cop? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm like, girl, I'm kinky. I am that kind of kinky.
So he really can really, really, really meld a story together in a really great way, and even when it's like a terrible story for him, the way he explains it makes it hysterical, and it's like very like much laughing at himself.
It comes from my TV writing background.
I know, it really does. Like
I literally will tell a story as if I'm writing it,
an episode,
dialogue, and
it's so good. So I got this information after it had happened. So Sam, doesn't lead with, Tara, the cop's trying to lighten my thing. He goes, and a light illuminated the window, and I was frozen with fear, holding the pickaxe.
Oh my God, you're making me sound like I'm like a fucking Disney villain. And then I took the pickaxe and I went to the door. I sound like Count Chocula. No, but what is that?
That's not a Disney villain. That's a serial.
It's a serial villain.
I don't know if he's a villain.
He's a serial killer. Get it?
Oh
Get
my
it?
God. Oh my God. Get out. Get out.
All right, this is Tara's podcast now. Bye, guys.
I will kill it. But wait, no, because then I will
You'll be a podcast killer.
Anyway, so that was probably the most like easily verifiably legit story that Sam experienced in this house. There were many others.
I mean, for instance, we had a roommate one time, our last roommate,
yes,
where he was so awful, and I don't really want to go into like crazy detail about him because it's just a waste of energy. He
purposefully went out of his way to bother Sam.
To bother me, for me being nothing but me. So looking back on it, where I think he had enough because he was African. Like, he was from Africa. His family was like straight from Africa. He had an African accent, the whole 9 yards. And I think where he kind of got the mentality of, I am done with this motherfucking white gay kid, was the time that this is gonna sound racist, but let me explain. I think it was when I brought up the Ebola crisis and it offended him. But literally, guys, he couldn't go visit his family in Africa for Christmas because of the Ebola crisis. That's how long ago this happened. It was 2014, 2015. And that's when he shifted his dynamic into fucking hating me.
I honestly just always thought it was because you guys were both had like very creative elements. We both approached it in very different ways.
But yeah, he was a fucking 30-year-old DJ. Get a real job.
Yeah, but he was pretty successful. Like, he bought himself that really nice new car with the intention of like transporting all his stuff. He did have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean he invested into his stuff, but I think what set him off about me was that I was just a carefree person who had a full-time job, but also was pursuing my creative stuff. And he had to struggle to make his money and make ends meet. Like, he didn't know where his money was coming from. And I was just kind of this free spirit bird who was working full-time jobs while pursuing my creative needs. Mm-hmm. And also because I think me bringing up the Ebola crisis was just in his mind out of line, which is stupid because I was trying to sympathize with him for
because he wanted to go home and couldn't go home. Yeah,
and I was like, dude, do you want to celebrate Christmas here with us?
Yeah.
Like, it was so stupid. So
I ran multiple like roommate interventions. Seriously, to try to allow them to like talk about their issues. And it ended up like being that I think part of it was you guys were both a little neurotic, but in your own ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, you were neurotic about like cleaning the house and X, Y, and Z things, and he was neurotic about like
no one touching anything that was his. He drew Sharpie. Yeah, Tara knew exactly. To make sure no one used the downstairs bathroom, even though it was meant to be the common bathroom that the third person in that room just happened to use as theirs because there was a shower in it. He would draw Sharpie lines on the toilet paper.
But on the back of it, so like you couldn't tell at first.
Yeah, to know if anyone was using his bathroom.
And like that's the bathroom that when we had parties, because it was accessible, it was on the first floor.
It was off of the kitchen. It was by the back door.
It was it was like easy. When we had parties, like we would let people use that bathroom, and he got like angry, even though we invited him to all the parties. So eventually we were just letting people go up to my room on the second floor, Sam's room on the third floor.
But he was so crazy about anyone ever touching his stuff because he claimed that the last place he lived, the landlord used his toothbrush and all this stuff. But the longer that I got to know him, I was like, maybe this guy's just out of his fucking mind. Like maybe there's something is not right in his head where he's creating these villains of people that are not that, because I'm not that. I'm not a bad person.
You would never use someone's toothbrush. You were
First
way
of all,
too neurotic for that.
Ew.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
second of all, no, that's just crazy. So we had him, and
he would like arguably like, although we just complained about him for, about 10 minutes, he was not even close to the worst. It just got really intense, like, for almost, like,
a year.
No perceptible reason either.
Yeah.
That leads us to the next part of the story. So, at one point, Sam and I were, like, going through the cabinets. I think we were putting up Christmas lights.
Yes.
And I was like, what is in this cabinet? So, I opened up the cabinet above the microwave that Sam and I couldn't, neither of us could reach. Because we were short.
It stayed shut forever.
Right. So, we pulled it out. The weirdest things. Like, this house was built in, 2007?
Well, it was remodeled in 2007.
But it was, like, brought down the foundation, right?
Basically, you're right. Yeah.
So
there was maybe, like, 2 existing walls, and that was it.
So somehow these relics, literally
little relics of when this house was built in the 1800s.
Right. There was a picture of the house from when it was like the plot of land from in 1865 or something.
And all these letters from the kids that used to live there.
Yes.
One of the kids died in the house.
Yeah, and then a school book. There was like it was like arithmetic of it was so weird. And I was like, Sam, where do these things come from?
There was Kama Sutra from 1820.
No, there was not.
they used a lot of wood.
People need to believe that part of it, the part that we had was true, because that part was legit.
I know, yes. And there was a $20 bill from the 1800s. It was crazy.
It was so weird. And I was like, Sam, where do these things come from? He goes, I've literally never opened that cabinet in my life.
And they were sitting there, and I believe when we found that, it opened some sort of a literal spirit,
like a floodgate situation
of energy into the house that had been stuffed away, because then the spirits of the house were present all the time, because that was in 2013, like fall 2013 when that happened. And we were in that house for another 2 years. So then the following 2 years, all this weird ghosty type things never ended. For instance, one time my shoe was on my floor, and it was face down, like the sole of the shoe, or I guess the bottom of the shoe was on the floor. It tipped to its side. I literally watched the shoe tip over. Isn't that spooky? Another thing that happened was one time my printer just turned itself on.
Oh, I used to hear that happen all the time, and I used to think you were home.
Printing.
Yeah.
And I was never home.
Yeah, because again, the soundproofing issue, I would be like, when I was in my bed, like Sam's room is above me.
Yes.
And I would hear the printer go, and I would like look out the window, and Sam's car wouldn't be there. And I'd text him like, "Are you home?" And like, your car's in here. He goes, "No, why?" I'm like, "Your printer's printing something." It was weird, and like,
then it would print out, "Get out of my fucking house!" No. Ghosts loved to fuck with me. Because it was almost as if
so like.
Oh, I peed myself again. Tara, where are the pens? And I think the ghosts were children. I believe the ghosts were children.
They were like messing with you?
They were like messing with me. And Tara's grandmother, for those who don't know, is a literal psychic.
But like not by trade. She just is psychic.
No, she is a psychic. She's done readings with me, and they've all come true, and they're always very specific.
Yeah.
I mean, but her grandmother has just always been this way.
Which is like a near-death experience. And then like after that, it kind of like intensified.
Which is weird because of my car accident. I believe that's what. We'll do that in another episode.
That's another episode.
But I think that's what opened up my floodgates. But so, for instance, Tara, about maybe a year into us living together, that's when our first roommate moved out. We planned dinner with her grandma at her house. And that was it. We went out to dinner with her grandma one time. We went there. We didn't even do we weren't even trying to do a formal reading that night. We were just, she was like, "You want me to read some stuff?" And we
I think she just asked us questions.
Yeah. And one of them was about how she felt like there was this vacancy in our house. That's, is Sam leaving? I'm like, no. We got home that night, and our roommate walked up to Tara and I and said, "Hey guys, I'm letting you know I'm giving Jane my 30-day notice.
Yeah, we were both like, what? It was so weird.
Spooky.
So as these like events started like kind of unfolding in the house, like, you know, this one roommate left, and then we got a, you know, kind of slew of like
just bad roommates. Yeah.
Like I think I was with my grandmother, or were you with her? No.
Probably not.
I think it was just me. And I was just like, you know, Nana, like, you know, things are so strange in the house. And she was like, oh, there's, like, very matter of fact, like, oh, there's ghosts there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what? I thought Sam was, like, really just, like, crazy, you know? Like, well, you know. So she's like, oh, yeah, there's ghosts there. They're kids. And I was like, why do they only mess with Sam? And she goes, oh, he's funny the way she's like, they love messing with him.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, what do we do? And she was like, I mean, they're not really, like, harmful or anything. Like, so she was just kind of like, I mean, if you want to, you can, like, I think, like, salt and, like, burn something or whatever.
And you can tell them to
tell
leave.
them to move on or whatever.
And that's what mistake I made. So Tara came home and told me this, and I laughed about it.
Right.
And I thought, okay, well, you know what?
Did you have it? Was it here, or was it at the house in Howell? You had that really scary interaction that you like smelled something like sulfur or something. Was that here, or was that Howell?
Oh no, that was Howell. That was Howell.
That was a scary one.
That was before we even knew too much about the ghost or anything. Was there straight up? I came home one night super late, and the second I walked in, the house was like iceberg cold. And I remember
our house is always hot.
It was always hot. I remember just smelling sulfur. And that means like a demon or a dark entity is in presence. And I don't remember how I dealt with it, but I did deal with it and it was done with. But Tara came home and told me this knowledge about, you know, Sam, it's just kids, you know, whatever. Something in me got so fed up one time.
Yeah, because they were like, you had a lot of little weird things, like things would move around in your closet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for those at home who don't believe in this, go to the next podcast.
Yeah,
for those who love this,
this is gonna keep going.
For those who want to hear these ghost stories, turn the volume up. So what ended up happening was something happened where I got so just irritated because I just wanted to live a normal life in a normal household that I asked the ghosts to leave.
Yeah, you're like, this is not your motherfucking house. If that's what you're
Yeah. I remember being like, this ain't your motherfucking house. I ain't your motherfucking play toy. Move on. And I did. I lit some stuff. I said the chant, and that was it. And then it wasn't the beginning of the end of our time in that house, because the next day, the water stopped working. And what was so crazy was that plumber came to check it out. He said the water meter is working fine.
Right.
The well is working fine. There's no reason this water should be stopped. And I think it's because the ghost leaving, the ghost being in the house is what
it or something
was holding the house together. And the second those spirits left, there was no energy holding the literal foundation together. So the water stopped, but then I came back and it was fine. It was like a false alarm. We were all scared. We almost had to leave.
Yeah, we were like, oh no, we have to move out, you know, because it's unoccupiable. There's no running water.
But then it came back in and it was hunky-dory. And that was probably September 2014 when that happened. And then what started happening was that usually in the spring, this beautiful butterfly bush would grow around the kitchen window, over the farmer's sink. So as you're like washing dishes and stuff like that.
Smells nice. You can see the butterflies. It's really pretty.
Yeah, and then there's also this big bush in the backyard that did the same thing.
And the tree. There was that tree too that we had those snow pictures underneath.
In the spring, it never came back.
Nope.
And that bush in the backyard, which was a massive, like, thick bush, died.
I'm sorry. Were you guys watching that?
The full-length episodes of Shmee are now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, y'all. What are y'all waiting for? The links are below. I'll see you guys there. Bye!